Hello, my friends, and welcome to 7 creepiest things people have seen through their windows. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Like the safety of your home wasn't as safe as you previously thought? Almost as if someone could be watching you through your window at this very moment. Here's 7 true creepy stories to make you close your windows at night. I was up late, like around 11 p.m., because my 2-year-old had a high fever. I was holding her in my lap as she slept while sitting downstairs on the couch. I was watching TV, but wasn't really paying attention when something moved out of the corner of my eye. Across from the couch, there were 2 double doors with floor-to-ceiling windows. The shades were open, and I could see out into the back deck. Well, something was hanging off the screen door that opened outward towards the deck. It was swinging back and forth and staring at me the whole time. It looked like a black shape of a man, but the head was scrunched down like it was fused with its shoulders or something. I couldn't really see a face, but it seemed like it was grinning at me. I just sat there frozen in fear and watched this thing swing back and forth. I finally got up the courage to gather my daughter in my arms and sprint away from the family room and upstairs to my room, where I called my parents. They didn't live far, and my dad came over with a shotgun and walked around the perimeter of the house. He didn't find anything, not even footprints, but I know what I saw. I was wide awake, but nobody wants to believe me. I still get freaked out when I lay on the couch at night, so I always close the blinds and lock the door. When I was 10, we moved into a house that was built in the 1940s. We lived there for about 5 years. I loved that house after my mom renovated it. But she didn't renovate the basement nor the sunroom. She left each of them original, and both of them creeped me out. They just didn't feel right. So I avoided both. That is, until I started 7th grade. That's when my mom let me go to school and come home alone. To go to my bus stop, she told me I should go through the back door, which is through the sunroom. The sunroom is attached to the kitchen by a door with a window on top. One day, I was standing in the kitchen, ready to leave for school. I looked out the door through the sunroom. There's a guy standing there. He was wearing all black, with an odd hat on. I still remember it very vividly. I ran back to my bedroom and called my mom. She just said, "Okay, you can stay home." Before my parents decided to switch rooms with me, I was sleeping in the back room, which is a converted porch with its own door to the backyard and windows on 2 sides of the room that reach the floor to the ceiling. I would hear walking on the side and back of the house a lot during the night, but I figured it was a stray cat or skunk. One morning, however, around 5 or 6 a.m., I woke up because I heard footsteps right outside my window. I knew it wasn't an animal, especially when, through the faint morning light, I saw a person's head and shoulders move past my bedroom window. My parents told me it was just the wind, but I'm pretty sure the wind can't grow a head. My mom grew up in a small town in Mexico, where everyone pretty much knows each other. Around the time of the events, she was 10 years old. I don't know if it runs in my family, but at some time in our life, every single member of my family has experienced something paranormal. She lived in a small adobe house, a super small home for the 5 of them. My grandparents, my uncle, my aunt, and my mom. The kitchen was located on the front part of the house, and the rooms were in the back. There was a wall that divided the kitchen from the rest of the house. There is a door inside the house, kind of how some hotel rooms have a door to get into the other room. They also have a window in one of the rooms so they could see into the kitchen. The kids would sleep in one room and my grandparents in the other one. My mom, my aunt, and my uncle would sleep in the room with the window. My mom tells me that at night they would hear the chairs from the kitchen being dragged, and all the things on the table would get smacked to the ground. On one occasion, the noises were very loud, and it woke her and her siblings up. They were curious to know what was making the noise, so they looked through the window and saw a small shadow dragging a chair across the room. She said they ran to their parents' room and slept there that night. The noises went on all night, she recalls. They believed it was my great-great-grandmother's dad that would mess around with them because he lived in that house before it was passed on to my grandma. I was at my late grandmother's house at her village. We're from Eastern Europe. Now this village has legends about an ancient princess buried with her treasure, and some evidence about finding her tomb. But also, they say, it has a curse sealed on it. There's also been several UFO sightings, and strange purple cones have been witnessed, as well as wolves, although the nearest mountain is miles away. Anyway, I was in my bed with my parents in the same room. Just before falling asleep, I hear this sound outside. The house has about a 50 to 60 meter, about 100 yards walkway to the main street, and I hear it as if it's in the street next to me, by my window. The sound is like a hovercraft, not too loud, more like a giant fan beneath a vehicle. Then this thing lifted from the air and started circling above the house. I'm crying, lying in my bed, terrified. My parents comfortably sleeping, with this thing flying around. After making a few circles, it disappears, with a bright flash outside as if in a thunderstorm. But there wasn't a storm at all. After that, all the neighbors' dogs start going crazy and barking a lot. I lay there frozen. Some time passed and the thing showed up again, did the same thing, and then faded away without the flash. Needless to say, I didn't have much sleep that night. I saw the aftermath, mainly because I slept through the attacks. On the morning of 9/11, I was sleeping late, mainly because I was up at 3 a.m. playing video games. I woke up to Howard Stern talking about something. I went to the bathroom, still listening to Stern, and I slowly realized that he wasn't joking. I went into my living room and turned on the TV, and I got nothing. I had no cable TV at the time, and there is no signal from any of the broadcasting stations, which were broadcasting from the top of the World Trade Center. I then realized that I was hearing a faint scream of sirens, and my street was eerily quiet. I still had the telephone and the internet, DSL, access, so I got onto CNN just as my phone rang. It was my mother calling to make sure I was fine. I leaned out the window of my apartment and I saw the towers burning. I ducked my head back inside and was halfway across the room when my mother gasped. The first tower had fallen. I looked back outside and I saw nothing but smoke and dust. I hung up the phone with my mother to free up the line for the emergency personnel. I got dressed, grabbed my bicycle, and pretty much rode full speed to the waterline. There were people and police everywhere. Not too long after I got there, the second tower fell. I felt like I was watching a movie. Of course, this kind of thing isn't really happening. Others around me were screaming, crying, collapsing on the ground, and staring semi-vacantly into space. And some, like me, were making eye contact with each other and somehow mentally communicating. Can you possibly believe this? Well, my friends, that's all the time I have for today. I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening. I'm Imori. Now, listen to the spooky tunes.